CBS News.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. France tonight suffered its second transportation tragedy in just 36 hours. It was a Paris train collision that killed at least 4 and injured and trapped many more in the wreckage. But French officials were preoccupied today with pinpointing the cause of Sunday's fatal and embarrassing crash of an ultra-modern Airbus. At stake, lucrative sales to U.S. and other airlines. Mark Phillips in London has the pictures and the story.
Pictures obtained by CBS News show the Airbus A320, the latest thing in commercial aviation, making a low, slow pass at an air show in eastern France. The pass was too low and too slow. The pilot later said he had tried to climb, but the plane kept dropping.
Oh no.
Miraculously, just 3 passengers were killed. 133 others survived, including the pilot and co-pilot. The inquiry into the crash is now focusing on them. Minutes before the takeoff, the passengers had marveled at the brand new plane in service only a week. The flight crew planned their route in the computerized cockpit. After the crash, anxious relatives feared the worst. The surviving passengers recounted their ordeal.
It's the first and probably the last time I take a plane.
Nobody told us anything except don't panic, get out, get out. So we ran into the forest because they said the plane would explode.
The passengers were barely out of the aircraft before hard questions were being asked. The plane was supposed to fly about 30 yards above the field, but went by only about 10 yards off the ground. The computerized control system of the A320 is a major selling point. Part of the reason 2 American airlines, Pan Am and Northwestern, have bought the plane to be put into service next year. But experts say no system is foolproof.
I would certainly be wary of building a system that totally depends on software and will essentially crash the aircraft if the software fails.
But the preliminary evidence is that it was the pilots who failed. Both Air France and British Airways said the A320s they grounded today will be back in the air tomorrow. Mark Phillips, CBS News, London.
Tonight's Paris train accident happened at the height of the rush hour in one of Paris's busiest stations. Rail officials said one commuter train arrived in the station at high speed on the wrong track. It slammed into the rear of a waiting train that was about to pull out. One French passenger said he thought it was a bomb. The force of the collision buckled some of the cars into the ceiling. The latest official death toll from Paris is 4, but that's expected to rise. About 40 passengers were hurt. Amid reports that the U.S. federal government will push for election year changes in rules that would ground aging aircraft, there is disturbing new evidence tonight in the Aloha Airlines tragedy that cost a stewardess her life. Susan Spencer reports.
Documents released late today show that Boeing, manufacturer of the Aloha Airlines jet whose fuselage peeled off over Hawaii last April, warned Aloha repeatedly of the dangers of corrosion as a part of its aging airplanes monitoring policy. And Boeing urged that Aloha adopt a new maintenance program and attend to needed structural inspections. An outline of a meeting in October of last year notes all Aloha airplanes have significant corrosion problems. It cites an Aloha maintenance philosophy which Boeing said, quote, results in resolving immediate short-term crises but not correcting long-term problems.
We tell all of the airlines who voluntarily participate in this aging study that we will tell them what we see, and then they're free to act on it as they believe appropriate.
Aloha says it did act appropriately, and in the documents released today disputes many of Boeing's findings, including its charge that Aloha's maintenance program tended to overlook developing problems.
It's clear that we have complied with all the airworthiness directives, with all the service bulletins that we had. We've done everything that's prudent.
The volumes of documents released today show an airline and a manufacturer eager to point fingers, but there is nothing here to dispute the idea that aging aircraft are potential trouble. In the aftermath of the Aloha Airlines accident, the FAA is considering a new rule, one which would limit the number of flights an aircraft can make in its lifetime. Susan Spencer, CBS News, Washington.
The U.S. Supreme Court handed President Reagan and his administration a victory today. The court ruled 5-4 that military defense contractors generally cannot be held liable for defects in their products. The president had his officials argue that holding the contractors liable would create unacceptable procurement conditions. CBS News law correspondent Rita Braver has our story on this.
U.S. Marine David Boyle died in 1983 after the Sikorsky helicopter he was co-piloting crashed off the Virginia coast. His escape hatch wouldn't open underwater.
He was trapped, which meant he had no way out.
His distraught parents sued Sikorsky for making a defective product. A federal jury awarded them $725,000. But today, the U.S. Supreme Court weighed in for Sikorsky and shielded all defense contractors from lawsuits if the government ordered precise specifications for the equipment, the contractor met those specifications, and the contractor did not conceal any potential hazards from the government. In his opinion for the court, Justice Antonin Scalia wrote that when selecting the design of military equipment, the government must be allowed to make a trade-off between greater safety and greater combat effectiveness. And he said that allowing manufacturers to be sued would make weapons more expensive for the government, a concept echoed by manufacturers and business groups.
It certainly would have made companies less willing to enter into risky contracts with the military for fear of liability, the uncertainty of the extent of the liability.
But in an angry dissent, Justice William Brennan accused the court majority of creating an injustice that will prevent individuals from suing government contractors over any made-to-order gadget, from NASA's Challenger space shuttle to the Postal Service's old mail cars. David Boyle's family had always believed that if it lost, it would mean the end of important safeguards.
If government contractors are not held responsible for their products, they have no initiative or any drive to make a better product or a safer product.
Today's decision is important because in most cases, federal law blocks people from recovering monetary damages from the government. The only recourse has been for individuals to sue private contractors. Now that right has been severely limited. Rita Braver, CBS News at the Supreme Court.
In the latest Defense Department corruption case, the new one that is of historic proportions involving billions of dollars in alleged sweetheart deals with contractors, more information tonight. CBS News has been told the names of a couple of military programs that are involved. Our Pentagon correspondent David Martin has our report.
Two Navy programs under investigation in the Pentagon bribery scandal are named in a search warrant obtained by CBS News. The first is a beacon system known as TACAN, which enables Navy pilots to locate their aircraft carrier at sea. The second is an electronic coding system known as IFF, which tells radar operators whether the blips on their scope are friendly or enemy aircraft. Documents relating to both programs were seized in a search of an office in this Defense Department building outside Washington, D.C. The office belonged to a Navy employee named Stuart Berlin, one of 6 Defense Department officials suspected of selling inside information to consultants working for defense contractors. Berlin has been reassigned. Among other things, the search warrant seeks Berlin's bank records, including evidence of payments from a California consultant named Fred Lackner, who was also a target of the investigation.
As Pentagon contracts go, these are relatively small programs involving at most only a few $1 million. But if the investigation shows they were awarded illegally, the Pentagon may have to start over again with new contracts.
If we've gotten sufficient evidence that a contract is tainted, we will take action to deal with that situation.
That would throw sand in the gears of some major Pentagon programs, including the next generation of Navy bomber, a multi-billion-dollar project awarded to defense industry giants McDonnell Douglas and General Dynamics. With projects like that now under investigation, Defense Secretary Carlucci is not repeating his earlier assurances that the procurement process is fundamentally sound.
But we should wait until the facts are out before making judgments on the system.
Carlucci said he has asked former Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld and former Deputy Secretary of Defense David Packard to review the evidence to see what changes are needed. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
The Securities and Exchange Commission today charged a Morgan Stanley Group analyst in what the agency called the second biggest insider trading case it has ever handled. The SEC filed a civil complaint against Stephen Wang, Jr., asking the return of $19 million in alleged trading profits plus triple that amount in damages. The 24-year-old Wang allegedly fed information to one Fred C. Lee, identified as a Hong Kong businessman who was also named in the complaint. A spokesman said only the 1986 Ivan Boesky insider trading scandal involved more money. And still to come on the CBS Evening News, Barry Peterson on the rewriting of Soviet history. And correspondent Harold Dow on Mike Tyson, who, win or lose, makes boxing history tonight.
They could see you now out on a fun ship cruise. You're eating fancy food and doing what you choose. I'd like your friends back home to get a good look at the first-rate carnival cruise that you took. All I can say is, wow, hey, look at where you are. What a fun ship, holy cow. They'd never believe it if your friends could see you now.
Take a 3, 4, or 7-day cruise on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
Tonight, Dad raised the son's fridge. He practically lived in mine. I'd always tell him, stay away from the big 3, salt, fat, calories, and watch the cholesterol. That's what Doc always told me. Looks like he did listen.
Fleischmann's Light, 25% less salt, fat, and calories than regular margarine, and no cholesterol.
What's enough for the big 3, Dad? Yeah, I listened. Most of the time.
Fleischmann's Light.
Dentuaries. I want to get fresh with you. With my Mint Fresh Polident. It's got a minty mouthwash ingredient, so it freshens up dentures as it cleans tough stains. Try Super Strength Polident Green, the mouth-freshening clean. Ah.
Captain, this itchy rash is driving me crazy.
Why didn't you use the Cord-Aid?
Cord-Aid goes beneath the skin to actually heal itches and rashes.
You know, itches and rashes won't last if you use Cord-Aid first.
What scientists called a moderate earthquake rolled through Central California today, shaking merchandise from shelves as San Francisco office buildings swayed. Various readings put the quake at from 5.0 to 5.7 on the Richter scale, enough to cause considerable damage, although none was immediately reported. But falling masonry prompted Sunnyvale, California officials to close a parking lot. The trembler followed by one day a similar quake in Southern California. Earthquakes destroy in a matter of seconds. The scourge of drought may linger for months, and not even welcome rain across parts of the South today eased the stranglehold of a drought that's being compared to the Dust Bowl of the Great Depression. Bruce Hall looks now at the mounting economic casualties.
The Corps of Engineers is severely restricting barge traffic on the heavily traveled Ohio River and parts of the Mississippi. Towboats are now limited to about half of their normal loads. In Mound City, Illinois, grain is backing up, spilling out onto the streets, while farmers try to find a way to get it downriver. The dropping water levels are affecting more than barge traffic on the river. This Arkansas power plant has been left high and dry, forced to shut down, not enough water to run the plant. It's the first time a power plant has closed on the Mississippi. The new water restrictions are playing havoc with the carpet industry. Nearly 3/4 of the nation's carpets are manufactured here in drought-stricken North Georgia. The carpet mills are trying to recycle water and cut down on the industry's high usage, but the drought is forcing these mills to close 2 days a week.
No one had anticipated the depth and breadth of this particular drought.
The heat and drought are also creating serious problems in the multi-million-dollar chicken industry. Egg production is down, and the older chickens are dying, not able to survive the high temperatures. And during a time when honey production should be at its peak, the bees are unable to produce honey.
Everything that's blooming has dried up. There's no nectar.
Instead of collecting nectar, the bees are staying close to their hives, doing what millions of people are trying to do during this heat wave and drought: keep cool. Bruce Hall, CBS News, Atlanta.
The U.S. Supreme Court today made it tougher to stage protests in private neighborhoods. The High Court upheld a city ordinance that bans picketing of private homes. The ruling is regarded as a major defeat for anti-abortion groups. In dissenting, Justice John Paul Stevens said the ruling would bar a fifth grader from carrying a sign saying, "Get well, Charlie, our team needs you." In an apparent effort to win votes from women and the South, the Democratic Party today named Texas State Treasurer Ann Richards to be its convention keynote speaker.
Yeah, prove who the real champion is.
Was it ever close?
It was over before it started.
Think there'll be a rematch?
You think they want one?
How about a shot of the two champs together?
Diet Pepsi's won the title. In head-to-head taste tests, Diet Pepsi challenged and decisively beat Diet Coke.
Mike, how do you feel about sharing your title, huh?
No problem. Just not sharing my Diet Pepsi.
Diet Pepsi, the undisputed champion.
With low back pain, walking can be agony, where every step shoots pain up here. You know what helps? New back guard.
Clinically proven back guard is a shoe insert for low back pain aggravated by foot shock. Back guard with its shock trapper module relieves this low back pain. Watch how it helps absorb shock upon impact to reduce the shock to your back.
Amazing. Something down here can help up here.
New back guard from Dr. Scholl's. Absorb shock all day to help keep back pain away.
Up to $2,000 cash back from Subaru is worth more than the same money from anyone else. It's worth more because Subaru builds a rugged, reliable wagon that's the best-selling import wagon in America. It's worth more because Subaru's XT6 has the same engine design found in a Ferrari or a Porsche. It's worth more because the Subaru Justy is the lowest-priced four-wheel drive passenger car in America. Up to $2,000 cash back on a Subaru is worth more because it's on a Subaru.
A highly unusual, maybe first of its kind protest today in Hungary against a neighboring communist ally. 20,000 people demonstrated in Budapest against Romania's treatment of its large ethnic Hungarian minority. It is alleged that Romania is violating the human rights of ethnic Hungarians by forced resettlement and trying to stamp out their culture. In Moscow tomorrow, opening of the Communist Party conference. Mikhail Gorbachev hopes to solidify his power and win further endorsement of his restructuring reforms. This is the first party conference since the one called by the dictator Joseph Stalin almost 50 years ago. And stepping up the campaign to discredit the repressive Stalin regime will be getting unprecedented attention, as we hear now from Barry Peterson.
It is a sign of the times, people scrambling for the few precious copies of poetry, words written by those once called criminals and banished. Soviet citizens are now allowed to study their wisdom, where once it might cost your life to simply utter their names. It's being ordered from on high, this process called rehabilitation, being done so the country can learn from its mistakes, learn how to change the system so it doesn't happen again. Nikolai Bukharin, a friend and ally to Lenin, was one of the first to return from non-person to restored hero of the revolution. Bukharin's was among Stalin's famous show trials. For opposing the murderous purges of the 30s, the charge treason. The sentence a foregone conclusion, his execution part of the purges he tried to stop. His wife fought for almost 50 years to have him rehabilitated. She memorized his last angry thoughts, writing them down only recently after it was safe. Words in which he described himself as a helpless victim before a devilish machine.
He was in opposition to Stalin, who was cunning, artful, and I think simply a criminal.
And Stalin's rehabilitation is quite different. His legacy is being condemned. The change of attitude toward Stalin so dramatic that Soviet television recently gathered survivors of the Stalin era in Red Square. One counted off names of friends killed in the dark days.
Antipov, Polonsky, Ryutin.
It is part of Glasnost, the new openness. For Soviets visiting the Museum of the Revolution, it can be a bewildering experience. There are recently added pictures of those once erased from the history books. There are yellow documents from the Revolution. On the bottom, the document is lighter. The signatures of those banished had been folded under and just recently revealed. The process of bringing back history, of being able to read the words of those once banished, is not free speech as Westerners know it. The Communist Party has made it clear that Soviets under Glasnost are free to speak, only as long as they speak the party line. The criticism of once sacred leaders angers conservatives who believe the old ways made this nation a world power, who don't want the winds of change and the limited freedoms that have come with it. The choir sings that the revolution goes on. Rehabilitation, say Soviet leaders, will go on as well. at least for those now convenient to remember. Barry Peterson, CBS News, Moscow.
The U.S. dollar hit a 7-month high today against the Japanese yen.
This is John Overly, and this is his farm. It's the Benjamin Moore Paint Farm. Out here, John tests thousands of Benjamin Moore paints to make sure they'll withstand years of sun and cold, rain and snow without cracking, peeling, or fading. These tests help make Benjamin Moore the only paint good enough for the Reynolds family and their new home. They wouldn't settle for anything less, would you?
When something means so much, see your Benjamin Moore dealer.
Sometimes I don't know what to believe. What food's good for you, what's not. But I guess I can believe reports from the National Cancer Institute. They say some studies suggest a high-fiber, low-fat diet may reduce the risk of some kinds of cancer. So I made some changes, like eating Kellogg's All-Bran. Just 1 tablespoon of All-Bran has more fiber than a whole serving of most other cereals. Am I going to change what I eat for breakfast? You better believe it.
High-fiber Kellogg's All-Bran.
Is your breath a little strong? Then have a Milk-Bone dog biscuit to help scrape away plaque and food particles to give you cleaner teeth, fresher breath. Get Milk-Bone because, naturally, every dog wants fresher breath.
Peerless do-it-yourself faucets come with stainless steel construction and a 15-year warranty. Peerless is also the only faucet that comes with this feature, a free 12-month subscription to Home Mechanics Magazine. Offer good through July 31st.
In the hype and hoopla, they're calling it once and for all. Tonight's heavyweight title bout between undefeated champion Mike Tyson and undefeated challenger Michael Spinks. The fighters are guaranteed fabulous money for what could be a brief night's work. But you might say it's taken them a lifelong struggle to reach this date with destiny. Harold Dow explains.
2.5 years ago, Mike Tyson was 19 years old and running down a long and lonely road toward the big time.
Hey, how you doing, my man? All right. You gonna be the next champ or what? That's what I'm in the business for, of course. Right.
And remember, it's always good to throw the punch where you could hit him and he can't hit you. That's what the science of boxing is all about.
He was beginning his professional boxing career without his teacher and father figure, the legendary fight manager Cus D'Amato, who died of pneumonia a few months before.
Man, you know, it's so funny. I meet this guy, this old white guy. Yeah. You know, we become tight.
Tyson had been training and learning for 6 years. He began a series of bouts that took him to the top. In rapid succession, there was Rick Spain, Sam Scaff, Jesse Ferguson, and a host of others. And finally, there was Trevor Berbick for the WBC title.
Of Iron Mike Tyson, the youngest heavyweight champion of all time.
And then Larry Holmes.
Mike Tyson's a badass. I'm the best in the world.
In 2.5 years, Tyson has beaten everyone he's faced. And today, he holds all 3 heavyweight titles. His record, 34 wins, no losses, 30 knockouts. What Cus D'Amato predicted has come true.
Everything told me happened. I was going to be successful. There's going to be people coming out of the woodworks all over the world. Everyone in the world was going to know me. I was going to be the world champion, the youngest world champion.
But adjusting to the spotlight hasn't been easy.
The guys with the 3-piece suits are bigger crips than the guys in Brownsville. They're horrible people.
Is that right?
The promoters, the managers, everyone's just horrible people.
Mike Tyson grew up on the mean streets of Brownsville, New York. He admits he lived a life of crime. He took what he wanted. That was yesterday. Today, Mike Tyson has purchased this $4.5 million mansion, and he says he no longer has to take anything from anyone. Now, he pays cash.
Cus used to tell me, you know what I mean, money is a false sense of security. And once you make a lot of money, you become soft. And I never want to ever be considered soft. That's, you know, where I come from, being considered soft is a no-no.
Michael Spinks is Tyson's next opponent. Tonight, they will fight for the richest purse in boxing history, $40 million.
Now we'll see who's the champion and who's the chump.
Yeah, he's just a person. He doesn't, chills don't go through my body, you know.
when I see him. I'm not afraid of him.
Michael Spinks is a heavy underdog, but it was a date he couldn't refuse.
Michael is being guaranteed $13.5 million. Nobody has ever been guaranteed in the history of the planet Earth $13.5 million for one night performance ever.
And Tyson is guaranteed $23 million. But Tyson's toughest battle may be outside the ring. It seems promoters, managers, and business people all over the world are fighting to get their hands on some of the money he's generating. When Tyson married actress Robin Givens 5 months ago, there was even talk that his new wife and mother-in-law were after his money.
No one wants to write anything good. I don't want people near me. I don't want people near my wife. I don't want people near my family. When you come down to it, no one cares about us.
I love him to death. I adore him positively. I mean, I knew he had the potential for being a great man, and he's becoming that right before my eyes.
And he's also becoming an industry. He was paid $1 million for this Diet Pepsi commercial.
Because everything comes down to money. You know, no one cares. I don't want to hear that I respect your best interests. I have your best interest.
Customato taught Mike Tyson a lot of things about life, all right, but no one could have prepared him for so much money, so much celebrity, so fast.
Then he said, there's going to be a time you're going to have so many friends, you're going to wish no one knew you.
But everyone does know him, and some boxing experts say he's already the greatest heavyweight ever. They say he'll beat Spinks easily, and win or lose, he'll be at least $23 million richer. Harold Dow, CBS News, New York.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather, see you tomorrow. Good night.
Suddenly Salad proposes 3 exciting new leisure activities. Pasta primavera with broccoli.
Love those brand new pasta salad flavors.
Ranch and bacon.
Leisure activities I can savor.
And Caesar with croutons.
Suddenly Salad.
With tasty extras like real bacon, Parmesan cheese, and crunchy croutons. 3 delicious new leisure activities.
Suddenly Salad.
Live high.
Post Fruit and Fiber presents new Cinnamon Apple Crisp and a Fruit and Fiber cereal fanatic who never forgets our name.
Right, never. Hey, this is new. Chunks of really crisp apple, cinnamon, it's fruit and...
Post Fruit and Fiber cereal introduces Cinnamon Apple Crisp with crisp, delicious apples, cinnamon, and high-fiber flakes.
Well, no wonder I forgot. This new taste is terrific.
New Cinnamon Apple Crisp Fruit and Fiber. Tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
Pat Van Patten and Sally Struthers.
Antique cars are still around because their owners always change the oil. Back then, you had to do it yourself. Remember? But today, there's Jiffy Lube. In 10 minutes, the J-Team changes the oil with quality Pennzoil. Here comes the Pennzoil. Replaces the filter, fill the fluids, and lubes the chassis. Want your car to last? Welcome to Jiffy Lube.
We'll take care of you like family.
Pat, meet my antique. Sally, meet mine.
I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Kathleen Sullivan. Tomorrow, pictures from the Spinks-Tyson heavyweight title bout.
Also, Phil Donahue, tomorrow on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS.
Coming up on Eyewitness News, Goodlettsville police say the odds are against the owners of gambling machines following a raid today.
And some new questions about the way a construction company is handling explosives in Nashville.
We'll have those stories and a lot more coming up next on Eyewitness News. Join us.
Time Magazine has put together a very special free gift for subscribing. It starts with something everyone needs. A telephone. With automatic redial, a ringer shut-off switch,